Iraq's foreign reserves provide exceptional stability for the national currency. Iraqi Dinar Dollar. The Prime Minister's financial advisor, Mizam Mohammed Saleh, confirmed on Friday that the Central Bank of Iraq enjoys substantial foreign reserves that represent the primary backing for the national currency. These reserves are managed within a diversified foreign currency investment portfolio in accordance with the highest standards of global banking efficiency and professionalism. The ability of these reserves to meet external demand for foreign currency for the purposes of financing import trade is one of the primary indicators of their efficiency, noting that the global standard for financing trade from central bank reserves is 3 months coverage, while Iraq has an exceptional capacity of up to 12 months. He pointed out that this level reflects a high degree of stability in the foreign exchange market, despite the temporary pressures on the current account of the balance of payments due to the relative contraction in oil prices, noting that oil revenues continue to constitute the main pillar in the formation and accumulation of these strategic reserves. Saleh explained that the central bank largely controls the foreign exchange market by imposing an official exchange rate of 1,320 dinars per dollar for the dinar. This has contributed to keeping the annual inflation rate below 3%, which falls within what is known as the normal range for the general price level, or the natural price breakup in the country. He emphasized that this represents the highest levels of stability targeted by Iraqi monetary policy, real-life scenario of redenomination, then revaluation, ROAD then RV, opposite process step with IQD, RV then ROAD. In 10 Syria, it issued new banknotes and removed 2 zeros from its currency in an attempt to restore confidence in the lira, which had fallen sharply in value, according to Reuters. The move aims to bolster the Syrian pound after its purchasing power collapsed to unprecedented levels following a 14-year conflict that ended with the ouster of President Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad last December. The Syrian pound has lost more than 99% of its value since the outbreak of the war in 2011. The current exchange rate is around £10,000 to the dollar, compared to £50 before the war. The sharp decline in the currency's value has made daily transactions and money transfers increasingly difficult. Banking and inclusion efforts along with the digital dinar. There will be a need for hard currency on the streets, and this will not go away. The fact is there will only be one more rate change, and it will be a change in country only. Then the reinstatement, which would more than likely bring the rate up even more. Can you call this 2 rate changes? Technically yes, but let's not confuse the process. There is no guarantee the reinstatement will be different from the in-country rate, and, in fact, it could come out the same as an initial sucker rate, maybe. But what we do know for sure is there will never be 2 official rates for the dinar. The in-country rate will be the reinstatement rate also once the reinstatement occurs. Get it? Why in hell do you think they had to have the parallel market come in line with the official CBI rate? So they did this so there can be control over their own currency. There can never be 2 official rates. There have been many solutions implemented to obtain the nearly 80% of the Iraqi currency hoarded outside the banking system. Unfortunately, none of these solutions have seemed to work to the degree of the needed success. What will the CBI do now? Will a redenomination be the answer? This hoarded capital is much needed to continue the progress of the development, road and other projects in Iraq. The banks need this money to loan out. So why doesn't the CBI just print more money and solve this problem? You all should realize, by now part of the monetary reform is to shrink the monetary supply by almost 2/3. Why would the CBI print more money at this stage of the game? Instead, they told us they must shrink if back to 2003 to 2004 era levels. They must get this 80% of the cash into the banks. The CBI in the past was forced to print and issue more dinar to combat stolen funds and hoarded cash stashes. But they have moved into the next phase of financial reform, not survival. So now they must shrink it back and go back to lower denominations and coins. Remember that when you shrink the money supply, you can increase the value of the money that remains in circulation. Think about it. It's not rocket science to understand. It is right along with simple microeconomics of supply and demand. This is also why they had to curb the loosey-goosey parallel market and get it in line. Not to mention the corrupt money smuggled out of Iraq to Iran. In the past month, there has been nothing but much more. Very good news coming from Iraq. From 2 military bases in Iraq. Sources revealed that the US has decided to withdraw all its soldiers from the Ain al-Assad base in Anbar province and the Victoria base at Baghdad airport. Sources indicated that US forces are beginning to transfer their personnel to Erbil and a neighboring Arab country. She noted that the Americans informed their Iraqi counterparts that they would accelerate the withdrawal process and would not adhere to the timetable set out in the framework agreement between the two countries. Sabah al-Newman, the spokesman for the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, confirmed last Monday that the withdrawal of coalition forces from Iraq was one of the government's achievements, noting that it was an indicator of Iraq's ability to confront terrorism. He said, "The withdrawal of international coalition forces from Iraq is one of the government's achievements and an indicator of Iraq's ability to combat terrorism and maintain security and stability, without needing assistance from others." Al-Newman added, "This would not have happened without political efforts and the insistence of the Prime Minister to close this file, just as he closed the UNAMI file." The US Embassy in Iraq announced earlier that the international coalition in Iraq would transition to a bilateral security partnership. This is not the end of the global coalition to defeat ISIS's work, as it will continue its civilian-led efforts at the global level, the embassy said in a statement. She added that the coalition's military mission in Iraq will transition to a more traditional bilateral security partnership, noting that details related to our military plans and operations will be referred to the Ministry of Defense.